What genre of video do you think is most popular on Facebook? If you don't spend as much time scrolling through the endless video cascades as I have been recently to research this topic, you might guess animal videos, fashion and beauty, maybe life hacks or comedy sketches stolen from YouTube. None of these. It's actually these food videos. In fact, according to this study by BuzzSumo, they more than double the next most popular genre in views and interactions. By the way, all my sources will be cited in the description and at the end of the video. This is an incredibly popular genre, and I think that simply by virtue of its popularity, it is worthy of analysis. By examining the genre and what in particular it does to appeal to people, we can learn more about ourselves. So where did all these Facebook food videos come from, and why are they so ubiquitous? In order to answer that question, let's take an in-depth look at the genre. What categorizes it, and what makes people want to keep watching? To begin, I would like to make clear exactly the category of video that I'm talking about. Included in this genre are the easy-to-comprehend videos that simply act as visual explanations of a certain recipe, but this is not what interests me. The kind of videos I would like to explore all share a few characteristics. Fast-paced editing, combined with upbeat music, some manner of serial iterations performed on a set of ingredients with an unknown goal, a general sense of excessiveness, and a first-person perspective with a pair of disembodied hands that prepare the food. The Facebook video algorithm heavily favors content that encourages a passive viewing experience, one in which the viewer can easily access the subject without too much thought, and can just as easily move on to the next video that will automatically start playing. It's easy to say that this genre, created by BuzzFeed, owes its success to its conformity to that system, and it certainly does help. However, what contributes more to its success are the strange strategies it uses in order to appeal to the human psyche. These strategies, whether intentional or not, draw the viewer in and keep them watching through a unique mix of revulsion and satisfaction. These can be split into 3 distinct sections. In ascending order of abstractness, one basic and easily understandable facet of the human condition is a thirst for knowledge, and on some level practically all entertainment of any kind plays on and utilizes this desire in one way or another, from a parent playing peekaboo with their child to a BuzzFeed list of 15 hedgehogs with things that look like hedgehogs. I hear number 8 will send you into an existential crisis. But most obviously, a mystery story builds its whole structure around it by creating a lack, and therefore making the thirst even stronger. That same mystery structure is integral to the DNA of this genre. Take this video, for example. It's entirely unclear what dish is being made until the climax when it's revealed. In fact, for this one and some others, the name of the dish isn't even in the title of the video. Sure, there are titles on screen that describe the ingredients, but these are closer to a substitute for narration than a recipe meant to be followed. By virtue of being an approximation of a recipe, this genre also heavily features a structure of continuous iteration. This, combined with the mystery of the final product, not only capitalizes on the human thirst for knowledge, but creates that thirst by virtue of manufactured lack and expectation. The result is an urge to get to the end of the video, which then immediately takes you to the start of the next, and so on. When broken down to its basic elements, this is a very strange way to experience food, and I would argue one that can only exist in a society based on excess. It's purely visual. And as a side note, even in this technically audio-visual format, if you've ever unmuted one of these videos, it becomes clear that audio is a complete afterthought. There doesn't even seem to be any convention for the type of background music. Some have bright, shiny stock music. Some have trap beats. Some have hard rock. and some have nothing at all. Anyway, if anything, the mode of consumption that these videos offer is closer to that of a still life painting than a recipe book. Even an Instagram photo of your friend's brunch is more related to the traditional function of food, in that the food was made for the primary purpose of being physically eaten. This form is entirely based around the gaze and looking, rather than eating, or even the hypothetical idea of something that is to be eaten. In fact, I've now spent hours scrolling through thousands of videos, and I've seen plenty of cheese being stretched and slices cut out of things to reveal the gooey center, but not once have I seen the final product being eaten by a human. That would be a completely different kind of enjoyment that is separate from this genre entirely, and better suited to mukbang, but that's a different story for a different time. This mode of visual consumption revolves around the erotic perfectness of an idealized, self-contained whole. In Lacanian terms, this perfect whole is the imago, that all humans endlessly yearn for after recognizing their own form in a mirror for the first time as a toddler. Along with this desire, though, is a struggle that runs counter to it, an almost self-destructive drive to see how it's made, what's inside. By the way, this particular drive has also been capitalized on by many other forms of internet entertainment. These food videos manage to harness that yearning and struggle in a way that is both disturbing and satisfying. Take a look at this video, which is emblematic of an entire subgenre, by the way. We're watching the literal behind-the-scenes production of a reproduction of a human body, or at least a piece of one. Side note, this visual dissection of the body is also heavily evocative of the male gaze. Not to mention the fact that if this is to be thought of as a food item, as well as for visual consumption, the pregnant belly is going to be sliced into with a knife at some point. I mean, how are people not freaked out by this? Oh, okay. I guess they actually are. Yet that doesn't stop the video and others like it from getting millions of views. In fact, it's a big part of the reason that they do. To be clear, this grotesque behind-the-scenes view is most literal and obvious in these pregnant cakes, in that they get straight at the heart of this anxiety and curiosity about the inside of a perfect whole body, but it extends to the rest of the genre as well, just in a less literal sense. These videos place food as the idealized whole, perfect for visual consumption. They begin by showing the disturbing yet intriguing look at what goes on inside, both creating and profiting off of the anxiety that comes with breaking the illusion of the gestalt. Then provide closure by concluding with an eroticized look at the final product, a perfect whole in itself. All this talk of body fragmentation leads me to my last point. Now, this is my most abstract argument, and you don't have to buy it if you don't want to, but I think it's at least interesting to think about. All of these videos view their subjects from a first-person perspective. A pair of disembodied hands perform the series of actions on the ingredients of each dish. On one level, it could be said that this allows for more projection on the part of the audience. Like a video game with a silent protagonist, the viewer is able to project their own personality, themselves, onto the blank slate provided for them. In this case, they're able to get some of the satisfaction from the act of making the food item, whatever it may be, without actually having to do anything. I think this is right, and it certainly contributes to the genre's success, but I think the choice of the first-person perspective also more subtly adds to the disturbing intrigue that I talked about before, and that I don't think I'm alone in feeling about the genre. By completely isolating the hands in the frame and providing absolutely no context about the rest of the human, and even by speeding up the hand's actions, again, whether intentionally or not, the creator of these videos further fragments the image of the human body in their viewers' minds. As I watch these floating, severed hands act out the recipes, I begin by wondering who they belong to, what the rest of the person's body and face look like. But soon I forget that there even is any body attached, anything other than the section that I can see. Just like the segment of the woman's body from the pregnant belly cakes, this perspective dissects the human body and contributes, if subtly, to the vague sense of anxiety about the disruption of the perfect whole, and thus it adds to the catharsis found in the climax when the idealized object is achieved and visually celebrated. This genre walks the line of eroticism, a concept that strangely already has a strong connection with food in our culture, and can easily be classified by the existing phrase food porn, even in a literal sense, through both its celebration of visual consumption and enjoyment and its structure, a series of scenes that show a down and dirty look at the part of the metaphorical body that we rarely see in normal life, and the culmination in a cathartic conclusion. These videos appeal to our most base instincts and desires as humans in a way that is threatening, grotesque, fascinating, and utterly impossible to look away from. Thank you for watching.